us now on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline is our good friend Dennis Pitta, All-American tight end at BYU, NFL Super Bowl champion
Speaking
with
of
the
rival.
Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, is Dennis your rival, Jerem?
No, he's my best friend.
Dennis, welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Oh, just hanging out amidst all of the goods in the BYU store and trying to figure out where Boise State fits on the scale of rivalries for BYU. What do you think, man?
Well, don't get me started again on rivalries.
Yeah.
But I will say this. In my mind, Boise State is a bigger rival than Utah State ever is.
Why is that, Dennis?
Well, because they're better, and it's been a bigger threat to us over the years. I can actually think back to my first year, way back in 2004, before my mission. And we played at Boise State. Now, if you remember, this is the year that Boise State really kind of emerged as a very good football team across the country. And we played them, I think, in week 4 or 5 and dominated them throughout the entire game. That's the game where Matt Payne was coming up and laying out
Chris
the
Carr.
punt return.
Yeah, Chris Carr.
Every single time, Chris Carr. I actually played with Chris Carr in Baltimore, so I always gave him a hard time about that one. I probably should have remembered his name just now. But, you know, a game that we felt like we were dominating throughout and we should have won, it came down to a 35-yard field goal to win it. Unfortunately, we didn't make it and ended up losing, and Boise State went on to, I think, playing a BCS game. They were a top 10 team, something like that. So a missed opportunity there, but a game that's always been highly competitive and a team that we've always really wanted to beat for whatever reason. I look at it as a little bit of a mini rivalry in itself.
Yeah, independent of where it fits on the rivalry scale, I've said this is my favorite series that Tom Homeless scheduled in Independence. Because you get Boise State every year. It's always going to be on ESPN. It's almost always going to be on a Thursday or Friday night, so you have the huge stage, and I love it. But the question in Provo right now is about the quarterback. Is Tanner Mangum going to be cleared to play? Is he going to be good? Is that ankle going to hold up? Is he okay? It will have been almost 4 weeks tomorrow night. So what do you expect from BYU if Tanner Mangum plays tomorrow?
Well, I think it's our best option by far. He brings the most experience. He's the guy that's, been the guy going into this year. And one thing I'll say for Tanner, I know he hasn't played the way he's wanted to in the first few weeks that he played, but being able to step back, kind of see other guys play, internalize some things, assess his play, and not being on the field the last couple weeks, I think will help him. And I know whenever I've been in that position, whether you're out of a bye week or whether you're out a couple weeks with an injury, whatever it may be, I mean, for me, I was out a whole year and got to watch guys in front of me, and I learned a lot, not only about myself and what I could do better, but what not to do with other guys, and learn from them and all different kinds of scenarios. And so I think this time off will be beneficial for him because I think he was reeling a little bit, and he was struggling with his confidence for whatever reason. But, if he's able to go this game, I think it's a huge plus for us, and I think he's going to really turn it around when he gets back healthy and continues to play. But, you talk about him versus the other guys, there's just no experience there. And I actually was impressed with Bo Hodge and how he played in that game. I think if he didn't get injured, we would have won that game. But when you talk about now a third-string quarterback coming in who wasn't ready for the moment, turned the ball over a bunch, I mean, that's not winning football. And so for Critchlow, I don't know anything about him. I don't think really anybody does, and so it'll be interesting to see. But it's a tough position to put him in because he's not going to be prepared the way he should.
Right now it would seem that Tanner Mangum is the guy, and if he can't go, it will be Joe Critchlow. What is the effect on the other offensive players when there is not a consistent presence at quarterback?
Well, it makes it very difficult, for one. Playing receiver, in my experience, when I don't have Joe Flacco out there, I hate it. And from, several standpoints, number one, Joe's our best quarterback and a very good quarterback. Number two, the ball comes out differently from different guys' hands. Our backup quarterback with the Ravens was Ryan Mallett. And I like catching Joe's ball a whole lot more than I like catching Ryan Mallett's ball. And that's something mentally you go through as a wide receiver. And so these wide receivers are having a tough time right now because you have so many different quarterbacks that are coming into the game. You go from Tanner to Bo to Coy, potentially to Critchlow now. I mean, it's difficult to find some consistency in how the ball is going to come out, how you're going to catch it, the trust level you have with one another. And then not only for receivers, but also for the linemen. The cadence comes out different, the rhythm's different. And so there's a lot of factors that play into multiple quarterbacks throughout a year. And so hopefully Tanner can play, and that will remedy a lot of those issues. But, having a different guy in there, Critchlow, I think is going to be a little bit of a struggle, even though he might very well be a great player.
7 turnovers last week against Utah State. Is that something that's easily correctable, or is that a bigger situation that you have to figure out?
Well, it's easily correctable. The question would be, can they correct it? You look at those turnovers last week. I don't mind the interceptions. You're on your third-string quarterback. He's trying to make plays. The moment's kind of almost too big for him in that, but he's trying. The effort was there. He's trying to make plays, throw it downfield, whatever it may be. I don't have issues with that. What I have issues with are the fumbles. Are the fumbles by Ula? I have issues with the fumbles by the running backs as a whole. Those are things that need to be corrected and should be corrected, and guys have to be held accountable for those fumbles. Listen, we're going through a similar thing with the Ravens. I've called the last handful of games, and we're struggling to find a running back right now. And there's a running back who we just signed a couple weeks ago named Alex Collins. He's our best runner by far. He was averaging 7.8 yards per carry coming into last game, but he kept putting the ball on the ground. And our coach, Coach Harbaugh, has zero tolerance for ball security issues at the running back position. So he got benched. And we have to go with lesser guys that aren't as dynamic at that position because they can protect the football. And so that's something that this team needs to figure out. As a coach, you have to say, well, is it worth the talent, or is it worth teaching a lesson, holding this guy accountable for ball security and sending a message to the rest of the team? I think at some point, if Ula can't figure out how to hold on the football, we got to figure out, who can.
Dennis Pitta with us on BYU Sports Nation. What level of concern do you have for BYU football right now at 1-4 going into the Boise State game?
Well, I think there's a lot of concern. I don't know that there would be as much concern if you had the quarterback position figured out and who's healthy and who's playing and all that. That's very concerning. I think the turnovers are concerning. But just how the schedule sets up over the next couple of weeks is concerning. Boise State's a good football team. They have been historically, and they are again this year. I know they lost last week to Virginia. But, Virginia, I think, has a decent coach over there.
Yeah.
And so, you look at this game, it's going to be tough. I know we play at home, but Boise State's always going to, bring their best stuff against us. And then you go and play Mississippi State in 2 games that are, extremely tough. And then you lose those, you sit at 1-6, and you're kind of reeling. And I know you play lesser competition through the back end of the schedule, but, those teams are still capable of snagging a win here and there. So there's a lot of concern, but if you can go tomorrow night and get a win against Boise State, that'll go a long way.
Boise State is always good, one of the premier programs nationally in terms of just straight up winning. In fact, since 2000, they have the #1 win percentage. They're amazing. Yet they were up 3 touchdowns against Washington State, who beat USC. They blew that, though, in triple overtime. But they lost to Virginia. So I'm not sure exactly how good. I know they're good. I don't know how good they are. What do you think of this matchup with this version of the Broncos?
I think it's a pretty good matchup, to be honest. I think we match up fairly well against them. You forget they beat Troy in week 1, and Troy handed it to LSU last week. So, that's an interesting game to think about. But, Boise State, they're going to be good, and they're going to be well coached. They're going to be disciplined. I think it's a team that we can dominate a little bit up front and run the ball against, and we're going to have to. And whether or not we can hold on to the ball when we run it will be a different story. But whoever's at quarterback, I think your job this game is going to be limit turnovers, manage the game, make sure that we can, keep good field position and set up our defense and not put them in bad situations.
Dennis, it's all about the 5 points of contact with the football, right?
There's actually 7, Spencer.
There are 7?
I'll go over it sometime with you.
Duly
I don't
noted.
have time to hit all 7 right now.
Next time. That's a tease for next week.
Yes. Yeah. Well, can't wait for that. Dennis, great stuff, man. Always nice to talk to you, and we appreciate the insight into BYU Boise State.